It was supposed to be a quick weekend trip. Me, my two buddies, Jake and Marcus, and a remote spot in the mountains we had hiked to before. No trails, no other campers, just us. We reached the site in the afternoon, set up camp near a clearing, and gathered enough wood to keep the fire going all night. Everything felt perfect, until it got dark. It started with small things. Around 9 p.m., Marcus thought he heard footsteps in the woods. We laughed it off, probably an animal, a deer, maybe a raccoon. The forest sounds different at night, especially when you're far from civilization. But then, an hour later, Jake got up to take a piss behind a tree. And when he came back, he looked different. Shaken. "What's up?" I asked. He hesitated, then said, "I swear I saw someone standing in the trees." We all went dead silent. Marcus turned his flashlight toward the woods. The beam cut through the trees, but we didn't see anything. Still, that feeling lingered, like we weren't alone. But we tried to shake it off. We kept the fire going, drank a little, told some dumb stories. Eventually, Jake seemed to relax again. But I couldn't, because I knew what he meant. I kept glancing at the tree line, and every now and then, it felt like something moved. By 2 a.m., we started winding down. Marcus and Jake crashed in their tent. I stayed up a little longer, tending the fire, staring at the flames. And that's when I heard a snap. Not close, but not far either. A footstep. I turned my flashlight toward the noise, and I swear to God, I saw a face, pale, half hidden behind a tree, watching us. I froze. My brain refused to believe what I was seeing. Then the face disappeared, like whoever it was had just melted back into the dark. I jumped to my feet, heart hammering. "Hey, who's there?" No answer. Just the sound of leaves crunching, moving away. I didn't sleep that night. I sat by the fire with my knife in my lap, staring at the woods until the sky turned gray with morning. When Jake and Marcus woke up, I told them everything. Jake just nodded. I knew I saw someone. We packed up fast. We didn't eat breakfast. Didn't even talk much. Just tore down our tents and hiked out. And the whole way back, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were still being watched. The worst part? When we got back to the car, Marcus stopped and looked off toward the trees. "What?" I asked. He pointed. Footprints. In the mud. Coming from the woods, stopping just a few feet from our car. Like someone had been standing there, waiting for us to come to the car. I don't know who was out there that night. But I do know one thing. Next time, I'm bringing a gun. We had been hiking for nearly an hour when Danny stopped dead in his tracks. "Dude," he said, pointing up ahead. "What the hell is that?" I followed his gaze, and it hit me like tons of bricks. That's a skeleton. Sitting upright against a tree, arms resting at its sides, legs sprawled out, like whoever it had been had just sat down and died. For a long moment, no one spoke. The forest was completely silent around us, like even the birds and insects knew this was a place they shouldn't be. Chris finally took a cautious step forward. "Is this real?" We approached slowly. The bones were clean, no remnants of clothing, no sign of scavengers, no decay, just pure white bone. It didn't make any sense. If this had been here long enough for the body to decompose, the forest should have taken it. Animals should have dragged the bones away. But everything was perfectly intact, like someone had stripped it down and placed it there deliberately. I turned to Danny. "We should call someone." He pulled out his phone, shook his head. No service. Maybe it's some kind of prank, Chris suggested, but his voice was shaky. Luke knelt next to the skeleton, studying it. Nah, this is real. He reached out like he was about to touch it, and I grabbed his wrist. Don't! I don't know why. But everything in my body screamed that we shouldn't touch it. Like if we did, something bad would happen. Then we noticed something even worse. The ground around the skeleton was disturbed, like someone had dug there recently. I followed the marks with my eyes, and that's when I saw more bones. Not fully exposed, just partially buried nearby. Luke noticed them too. There's more, he whispered. My stomach twisted. How many? The feeling of being watched came out of nowhere. I turned, scanning the trees. Nothing. But something told me we were being watched. We need to go, Danny muttered. We all hiked back in silence. It felt like every step took too long, like the trees were closing in around us. The moment we saw our campsite, I felt a flicker of relief, until I saw my tent flap was open. Chris's boots were in a different spot. Danny's backpack was unzipped. Luke's sleeping bag, partially unrolled. But nothing was stolen. Someone had just been here, going through our stuff, touching everything. Danny pulled out his knife. We're leaving. Now. We packed up faster than we ever had before. No talking. Just moving. By the time we reached the car, my hands were still shaking. I don't know what scared me more. Finding that skeleton, or knowing that while we were in the woods, someone else had been in our camp. We drove straight to the ranger station, told them what we found. The ranger just nodded, like he wasn't surprised. You're not the first to find a skeleton, he muttered. Then he took down our information and told us we could go. No explanation, no questions. Just wrote something down and sent us on our way. I tried to keep up with any news stories or articles from that area about missing people, murders, homicides, or anything really. But nothing ever showed up. Mia and I needed a break. Life had been stressful. Work, bills, the usual grind. So we decided to go camping for the weekend, just the two of us. We picked a remote spot deep in national forest land, a place we had been to once before. No trails, no campgrounds, no other people, just pure wilderness. That was the appeal, or so we thought. The first night was perfect. We set up camp near a river, made dinner over a fire, and spent the evening talking and stargazing. It felt good to be disconnected from the world for a while. But just as we were about to call it a night, we heard something off in the distance. Laughter. Voices. Mia looked at me, confused. I thought you said no one camps out here. I didn't think anyone did, I admitted. We were miles away from any official sites, deep in the woods. But the voices sounded close. Then we saw them. There was 3 men that emerged from the trees about 40 yards away, stumbling through the underbrush, obviously drunk. They were loud, slurring their words, laughing at something we couldn't hear. At first, I was relieved. Just some rowdy campers, annoying, but harmless. But then one of them saw our fire, and they changed direction. They walked straight into our campsite like they owned it. Mia shifted closer to me. Do we know you guys? I asked, trying to sound casual. One of them, a tall, scruffy guy in a ripped jacket, grinned. Nah, man. Just saw your fire. Thought we'd stop by. His breath reeked of alcohol. The other 2 just stared at Mia. I didn't like it, not one bit. I forced a laugh, trying to keep things light. Yeah, well, we're turning in for the night, so... One of the men with a ripped jacket cut me off. Oh, come on, man. We're just being friendly." One of his friends snickered. "Yeah, we don't bite." Mia squeezed my arm. I could feel her nails digging into my skin, and I knew she was just as uncomfortable as I was. "Seriously," I said more firmly this time. "We're good. Have a safe night." For a long second, no one moved. Then finally, Rip Jacket shrugged. "Suit yourself," he muttered. And just like that, they wandered back into the woods. But something about the way they left felt wrong, like they weren't really leaving. Mia and I climbed into the tent, but we didn't sleep. I kept my knife within arm's reach, ears straining for any sound. For a while, there was nothing. Then, around 2 a.m., we heard footsteps. Slow, circling the tent. Mia's hand gripped mine in the dark. "It's them." I swallowed hard, heart pounding in my chest. Then, just outside the fabric of the tent, the zipper started moving. I shot up. "Hey!" The sound stopped immediately. Mia scrambled for the flashlight, flicking it on, shining it through the tent fabric. For a split second, we saw a shadow, tall, still. Then it stepped back. I unzipped the tent and burst outside, knife in hand. But when I shined the flashlight around the campsite, there was no one there. When I looked around, I found a mask lying in the dirt. It was plain, white, and featureless. I kicked it over with my foot and my blood went ice cold. Written inside the mask, in smeared black ink, was one word: run. I spun around, scanning the trees. Then in the distance, I saw slight movement from 4 figures in hooded masks, standing at the edge of the woods, just past the reach of my flashlight, watching and waiting. I grabbed Mia's hand. "Get your stuff. Now." We didn't take the tent nor anything we couldn't grab in 10 seconds. And as we ran towards the car, I kept glancing over my shoulder. The masked men didn't follow. They just stood there. When we finally got to the car, we sped down the dirt road without looking back. We so drove far away before we finally spoke. "What the hell was that?" Mia whispered. I didn't have an answer and I didn't want one. The next day we went straight to the ranger station, told them about the drunk men, the masks, the message. The ranger just sighed. "Some groups come out here for more than camping. Who knows what would have happened if we had stayed asleep, if we had ignored the sound of the zipper. But I will warn you, if you ever camp in the deep wood and you hear footsteps in the middle of the night, don't just stay in your tent.